So you've got the new fat standards, right? New standards of weight and beauty. You also have new racial standards, and this one is it's a little more subtle too. I noticed with all these big viral stories going around, the Amen and, Bernstein, all these sorts of things, what's more interesting about them is not what's on the surface. What's more interesting is what's beneath. And this is certainly true of a video that went viral. It's Cenk Uygur. He's that guy from the Young Turks who just yells all the time, and he's very vulgar, and that's his whole shtick, is he just yells, and he's kind of like, the entire left, I guess. That's their shtick. They just yell and say a lot of swear words. But Cenk Uygur did the thing that everybody with a blue check mark on Twitter is tempted to do at the airport when their flight is delayed. You are so tempted to just immediately go and complain on social media. I think we've all done it. Every single conservative, moderate, liberal, if you have any kind of social media network, you complain about it. And then you hope that in some mystical way, this will get your plane to show up more quickly. So Cenk loses it because he's more excitable than most people. The flight's delayed however many hours, and he starts filming the staff because he's not getting answers, and he starts badgering them. Take a listen.
We've been here 3 hours, and American Airlines sucks. They decided, for whatever reason, to screw everybody on this flight. It just frustrates me that some industries just get to screw you over and go, nah, you got to fly at some point, right?
It is Gustavo. That's a TYT viewer.
And I'm hungry and I'm tired. And so, you know me, I get more agitated when I'm hungry and tired. So, look, if you guys think this is bad, wait till, if that plane doesn't actually come from the hangar in 20 minutes.
Is the flight coming? Supervisor, is the flight coming? Supervisor, you at least got to be honest. Is there a flight? Is there a plane? You got to be honest. Is there a plane? Is there a plane? Where's the plane? Where's the plane?
Okay, so it's rude. He shouldn't do this, but it's actually kind of funny, right? And he's not actually red in the face. He's kind of making a joke about it. And so I can't believe I have to sort of defend Cenk Uygur for being just as rude as he always is, but not particularly rude. What's interesting in this story to me is that when this was posted to the internet, it sort of went viral. The comment on it was, here is a 2-minute video of Cenk Uygur screaming at black airline employees because a flight was delayed. Why do I care that the airline employees are black? Why do I care? Why does that make it worse? Now, I suspect what's happening here is the viral post is pointing out the kind of hypocrisy, this irony of the new left-wing politically correct standard, which is, black people are sort of a special class. Really, any historically aggrieved minority who can claim grievance and victimhood is a special class entitled to special privileges, and white people are bad. In the same way that, women are good and any kind of sexually confused person is really good, but men are really bad, and you see this in the slogans of die white cis scum, or dead white males are terrible and you got to take them out of university curricula, decolonize the English department, which is very funny because, for instance, major English writers, just as a sort of by definition, tend to be white guys because the English people are white. And so you always hear decolonize, get the white people out of the English department. I think you wouldn't say get the Italians out of the Italian department, would you? You wouldn't say get the Chinese people out of the Chinese department. That's decolonizing. But this is a new standard. Obviously, identity politics is this. It's creating new sort of special groups and special privileges for various people. But I just think it's counterproductive for conservatives to do this sort of thing because I just don't believe it. Cenk Uygur yelling at a black guy is in no way worse than him yelling at a white guy. I don't think it's a special crime or some special offense if he does that. I do think it's worse if Cenk Uygur yells at a woman than at a man because there used to be an old standard called chivalry and men were supposed to treat women differently. But I don't think that we should treat each other differently on the basis of our race. I think that's a far more superficial distinction than sexual difference, which is real. The new standards obliterate all of that traditional understanding of things. And I think that it's very easy and actually feels good for conservatives to just laugh about this thing because you can either laugh or you can cry. But I don't think it's going to help us fight these new crazy standards. Not one little bit. I think it's going to ease the implementation of those standards, because unless we push back, again, forget about Cenk Uygur for a second. Unless we push back and say, no, it's not a women, it's a men. That's the word you say. And you say amen after we have prayer to open up the Congress, as we have for hundreds of years. And you don't just get to choose whatever word you say. You say the correct word. I think there are going to be a lot of people who have played this game a little more squishy over the years. Said, look, we're free speech purists, right? That's kind of the traditional conservative response to these politically correct standards. You can say whatever you want. That isn't true. That isn't true. Conservatives have always defended standards. I don't think you should be able to walk up to a woman and scream obscenities in her face. I think that's wrong, and you should be punished for doing that. I don't think that you should be able to walk out onto an NFL field and disrespect the American flag. I think that's an incoherent act. I think to defend it on First Amendment grounds is absurd, because you are protesting the country itself, without which you wouldn't have a First Amendment. I don't think you should be able to call a Christmas tree some other kind of name. I'm not saying you should be arrested for it. I'm just saying we as a society should not tolerate that sort of thing. The left has always understood this. The left has always understood that there are always limits to speech and behavior. And conservatives, in fighting against political correctness, I think we just believed our own abstractions a little too much. But this was true according to Thomas Jefferson. This is true according to John Locke. This is true according to John Milton, the greatest defender of free speech in the English language, wrote Areopagitica. There are always limits. There necessarily have to be. If this leftist tears tumbler is a tumbler, then it's not a Frisbee. And I can't call it a Frisbee. If I'm really permitted in society to call this thing a Frisbee, then communication totally breaks down, and we have no way of speaking to one another, and our reasoned self-government devolves into a bunch of grunts and violence and raw passion, appetite, and self-interest. And increasingly, that's the country we're getting. And the only way we're going to be able to push back against that is if we can actually articulate our own vision and have the confidence to defend it. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Michael Knowles Show. To check out the full episode, hit the link in the description or download The Michael Knowles Show wherever you listen to podcasts.